Hi everybody, this is Coffee with Sandy. Thank you for joining me today. The mission of Coffee with Sandy has always been to bring hope to others, to actually show the pivotal moments in others' lives that actually change who we think we're going to be into who we are now. And it really brings a message to, my message is always trying to bring those messages to people to keep the hope and keep the faith that things are going to work out. And today I get Art to sit with me. So Art, if you can introduce yourself, that would be great.
My name is Art Pierson. I'm the owner and operator of Pierson Promotional Products. I've resided here in Colorado Springs area for 13 years. I'm originally from Texas, and I came to Colorado so I could have a fresh start, and I could live out my dream and do what I really wanted to do, and not be just stuck in Texas my whole life. I've been to multiple cities in Texas.
Oh, very cool.
I'm from Corpus Christi. I met my wife in Austin. We got married. We resided in San Antonio, and I've been around the other state of Texas. The other state. I've been around the states. I've been around the state of Texas. Texas does feel like it has multiple states.
Yes, it's big enough, right?
And I've been in multiple other cities, as well as Houston and Texas. So
yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yes, most definitely. First question always is, what did you want to be when you were in second grade?
In second grade?
Yeah.
I was convinced I was going to be an astronaut.
Really?
Yes, I went to NASA there in Houston.
Oh yeah.
It was between Houston and Baytown.
You know, that was my first trip ever out of Minnesota, was into Houston, and we got to go.
Yep, and that was what I thought all field trips were like, and none of the other field trips ever lived up to that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, after you've seen a rocket when you're in the second or third grade, going to the zoo is just not the same.
Yeah. Did you get to sit in that little wheel thing that, spun you around? Because I did.
I kept, some of it's so faint, but I know when you're pulling up in the bus, like, because the bus is coming down this long thoroughfare, and then you see all the different segments of the rocket and the fuselages and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so that stuck as a kid, but didn't become a rocket or aeronautical engineer or an astronaut. So
did you figure out by third grade that it was just too much
mathing? Math wasn't crazy. I didn't know that you had to. I just wanted to fly. I didn't think you had to do math.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that it had something to do with math, but NASA should figure out the math and then let me just be an astronaut. I want to explore stuff.
That's right. Yeah. So what through high school then obviously it changed from what you wanted to be and younger and through high school, or
graduated at 17.
Wow.
Had hopes of I was going to go to Black Hills State University up in South Dakota and Spearfish. My friend he was a better student than me. He didn't qualify or get accepted, and I did, so I just kept it a secret. And I never told him.
You only write movies like that.
I didn't tell him until 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I got rid of the admission letter and I enlisted.
You didn't go.
I didn't go.
Oh, Art.
And
wow.
So during COVID and quarantine, me and my family went up to Spearfish into what is it? Deadwood, in that area over there. And so when I went to the university campus, I went and took a photo and I sent it to him and told him that I finally got to see it. And so.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I went to the Army, and then when I was in the Army, I was convinced that I want to be a Secret Service agent.
Wow. So how long were you enlisted then?
4 years.
Oh, okay.
And I was still, up until the midpoint, I was still of the mind that I was gonna do a couple of years, get some military experience, and then I was gonna try to transition to that's Quantico, because you need to go to Quantico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But midway through it, I was doing a packet so I could shift from being enlisted to being commissioned as an officer. Mm-hmm. And one of the first sergeants, one of the senior enlisted fellows, had just come from West Point. He had been doing duty at West Point for 5 years, and every day he saw me, he would heckle me, and he would tell me to drop down and do push-ups. And I was like, dude, I'm clean. I had really good. My uniform was clean because I worked in an office. I said, I'm not getting dirty for that. And he's like, see, he said, that's why you're not gonna like West Point. And I was, and so
it's amazing how people can
small things,
right?
Small things, right?
Yeah.
And so I never went green and gold. The program was green and gold, and so I never went and got commissioned. But I did continue. I got security clearances and all kinds of things that would prepare me for stuff outside, because I was still thinking that I I gave that one up after I exited my term of service in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had.
I don't know, Art. I don't know.
As normal as possible. I want to be as normal as possible.
You wanted to be more like a civilian.
This
Not a
soldier.
soldier. Yeah.
As normal as possible.
Right? So you and I met through the Tri-Lakes Chamber.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that we, one of the first breakfasts that I came to or something, you were just all out there. And I'm like,
That's me.
hey, it's early and I haven't had enough coffee yet.
And he's a lot.
I never said that.
And he's a lot.
No, but it was, you're always so refreshing to be around when you are in a room. There's just, you have a lot to say without saying a lot, if that makes sense.
That's me. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So, what was it like with your family? You said you grew up in Texas.
Grew up in Texas.
What was, did you
Texas
have
life?
siblings?
Single mother.
Oh, okay.
So my father there are four of us that my father, what we call it, sponsored. My father sponsored four of us. There's two brothers,
I've never heard of
two
that
daughters. He was a sponsor. Because he wasn't a complete absentee father.
Yeah.
So I couldn't call him an absentee father.
Yeah.
If I needed something or I needed advice or I wanted to ask him something, I'd call him. But I mean, as far as all the other family activities and stuff, Dad stayed in another city.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed in Houston and I stayed in Corpus. And so I resided with my mother and my grandmother. So my great grandmother, excuse me.
Oh.
I spent most of my time growing up with her, so I'm an old soul.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to old music. I listen to classical music. That's not because of her, but I tend to hang around older people. And surprisingly, I even married an older woman. My wife is 10 years my senior, so.
Oh, very good. She's a cradle robber.
She's 18 years, so I guess it's not a gimmick. So coming January 2025, it'll be 18 years.
That's so cool! Congratulations. That's
I'm probably the youngest grandfather most people will know.
Wow. Yes.
A 6-year-old granddaughter.
Very cool. So, okay, high school. Tell me about
high school. Nothing was. I was so ready to be done with high school and be an adult. Unfortunately, because nobody told us what adulthood was going to be like. Yeah. But I enlisted when I was 17. I had already been halfway through basic training before I even turned 18.
Oh wow!
So I got my 18th birthday cake in front of a bunch of, I was gonna say inmates, a bunch of enlisted men.
Oh, that's another
in front of a bunch of enlisted soldiers. Like we hadn't even graduated basic training. So
wow! So were you in sports in high school then, or through school?
Swimming.
Okay.
So I did everything in my will not to pick up average sports. I didn't want to be a basketball player. I didn't want to be a football player. And I knew that I wanted to get out of the community that I was raised in, because it wasn't. I didn't realize that my community was broke until I got to the Army and came back, and I was like, oh, my neighborhood is poor. Yeah. But so even back in high school in 8th grade, and I knew that I wanted to I want something different. So in 8th grade, I started playing golf.
Oh, okay.
And then in high school, I picked up swimming. And then the highlight of high school was when I got in the newspaper article, not because of my performance during the swim meet, but because I was the first black swimmer in the school district ever. And I was I was like, okay, that's.
Yay!
I was like, it's still a newspaper. I was like, but I wish you would at least said I made 3rd place.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
talk about my accomplishments.
Yeah. So I'm used to pushing the envelope. I'm very familiar with being places that other people aren't always at, or doing things that most people wouldn't think that I would do. And so that's been probably the epitome of my life. Like I'm always the one out. Like, dude, you never seen somebody like you around here. Yeah. Like my basic training partner was Frank Casca. He's from the Midwest farm town. And he was excited because I was the first black man he had ever physically met.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so he would do. I grew
up in a small town in Minnesota too.
And I was like, I know you've seen TV. He was like, yeah, like the Cosbys and stuff. I'm like, yeah, like the Cosbys. And he was like, he's like, I never. He's like, you're my first black friend. And I was like, all right, man, I'll take it. Frank Cassidy.
Wow. And probably you had more of those types of
moments
too.
Throughout life.
Yeah. And that would be my question. Do you have somebody that you?
Yeah.
No.
For the most part,
about
my wife, but she gets to hear the majority of it.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like I'll get on one of those vomit sessions, and I'll be like, and I have to check myself. My wife noticed one time, and she told me, and that was the first time I was like, it was a weird compliment. She says, how do you do that? And I said, what? She says, like self-correction, like you'll be doing something, or you'll be. She's like, when you don't like something and it's not working, or a habit, maybe whether it's playing too many games or it's you're on social media, and you'll change it. It'll be gone in 6 months, like it's gone. She says everybody. She says, everybody doesn't have the ability to self-correct like that. And I was like normal. Like if you don't want to do something, you don't do it. And if you want to change something, you change it. Like, but it's got to be. It's a habit. It's got to be habit. You have to turn it into a habit. Mm-hmm. It's because you're just forming habits. So just form a new habit.
Yeah.
Like recently this week, I just got tired of playing a game. I game. Yeah. I like games.
Is that what you do to shut yourself down, or just close yourself off to regenerate or recharge? Or
no, I think it's just to numb me to because it's TV is white noise for me too. Mm-hmm. And so like in the evening, and I don't watch probably more than. Does YouTube count as TV?
Depends on what you watch on it.
I'm not watching movies on YouTube. If you're
watching Coffee with Sandy, yes.
I'm watching some. If I'm on YouTube, if either watching somebody tell me how to do something on a piece of machinery, or I'm listening to some motivational spiritual. Mm-hmm. And I've learned too that most of the information in like the motivators that I listen to, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Miles Monroe, most of the material I read and people that I follow are deceased.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're the ones, like the newer guys. I mean, I'm happy for them, and I know Tim Robbins helps a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Occasionally I'll stumble on some Joel Osteen, but like most of the people that I'm following or paying attention to the information, even the books, they either been dead for 100 years or they're dead.
Well, and think about our kids' generation. They're probably going to be using, what we consider.
Oh, you're scaring me.
This is all the new stuff. We don't listen to that. We listen to Zig Ziglar and all that. Yeah, I mean.
I used to think that I was an extrovert. 2024, I have been very reclusive the last 5-6 months. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, you were the longest. Okay, outside, me and my wife went to dinner 2 weeks ago, and we went to, on the southern side of Colorado Springs. Mm-hmm. So other than that, and then I went camping this summer. Since March or since January, I have not been to Monument. I haven't been typically in Colorado Springs. I've been pretty much recluse. And for somebody who loves to engage with everybody, my biggest engagement all summer long has probably been me going to Walmart.
Wow.
And I'm in there. I'm getting my stuff. I'm saying hi at customer service. I'm waving because I know them too. Yeah. I wave, and I'm back to the house.
So why?
I don't know, man.
Shifted? Did you just call me ma'am?
Respect. Not age thing, respect thing. It's respect.
I know.
I don't know. But in the absence of, I kept getting he kept pouring into me the thing that you don't have to be in everybody's face to do business.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, me pulling back and from the networking and all that, I've continued to do my local networking with the Eastern Plains, but I haven't done the other networking groups. I actually hit 2 milestones this summer that I had set 3 years ago.
Wow.
And so that was odd. That's the paradox, right? Like you're not networking. I'm not out in everybody's face. Like you've been doing business for 12 years. But the shift to doing something that I hadn't been doing got me more focused. Like I've literally, since probably Easter till the end of August, I've been in that garage, me and that CO2 laser, and I've got more than 300 man hours.
Wow.
In front of that laser.
Crazy, yeah.
In that no bigger than this desk space. Like walking in a space this big for 300 plus hours. Like 4 or 5 months. And you get a lot of internal dialogue, a lot of self-talk, a lot of praying. It's been a lot of praying. Been a lot of YouTube. It's been a lot of Clash of Clans. I've gamed. I've wired the TV in the garage so I can stream games in there if I want to play them. And so last weekend.
That's such a dude thing to do. Sorry, I know I'm stereotyping.
we need Wi-Fi in the garage now.
Well, okay, so this is the technology bus, right?
Yep.
And Craig just actually did the Wi-Fi. He has the satellite Wi-Fi. Is that what it's called?
Okay, set.
He just put that in yesterday.
Yeah, man.
So
so one of the
you guys know what you're doing.
So 8 to 9 years ago, I had a meeting. I started as a graphic designer. When I started my original company, it was Phoenix 820, and I did graphic design. So for years, I did web design, logo design, and I did normal marketing materials and business collateral. So your business cards, banners, postcards, brochures, any business materials that people were going to use. Never any vinyl or like thing on vehicles, but all business marketing materials. And I'm at
still do that
silently,
kind of sort.
And I never tell anybody I'm a graphic designer, but I've ruined that now. And so, but I've been a graphic designer for 18 years, and some of my clients that have used my graphic design services. Because if they give me trash, then they don't have to worry about me farming it out.
Mm-hmm.
I just take care of it, and I get a fee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really fast now. Like that's why I can tutor. I tutor in instruction in graphic design as well, and Adobe Illustrator.
Is that the third company then that you?
No, it's just a byproduct. I think it's just a part of the same thing.
Yeah.
So because I don't want to do production design. People are just like, I want to do business cards. Like I can't do any more business. If I'm already doing your business card, I'm gonna do them. But taking on new business cards, no. Like you can go to Vistaprint. It's easy. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if they need design stuff, so I'm at a meeting and there are 3 companies, and these gentlemen want to merge their companies. One's a GC, one's a GC, like a regular general contractor, and the other one's a roofer, and then the other one's doing the remediation. But they're friends, and they've been referral partners with each other back and forth. So they're forming a separate entity that they can do to the public, and it'll have its own identity and market and everything. So I had to sit with them. They took me to lunch. I'm gathering information. And one of the owners, this man is in his 60s. He's ran this business in Colorado Springs for 30 years. He is the most childlike and
didn't expect you to say that. Okay.
And comical one. He is heckling me the whole meeting. So we're at this meeting, and this gentleman, he at any point he could sell this business, and unfortunately he didn't end up selling that business 3 years later. But he's heckling me. Mm-hmm. And he finds out that I do this, and he's at the table at lunch, and he keeps grabbing this. It's a screen wipe. You use it to wipe the screen on your phone. It sticks on the back of your phone. It's got that static or semi-sticky adhesive on it, and you flip it around and you wipe the screen to clean all the fingerprints on it. And he keeps flashing it in my face, saying, "I bet you can't do these. I bet you can't do these." And I'm like, "Hey!" And about the third or fourth time I grab it from him, I said, "Give me this. I'm gonna take the phone number. Tell this woman that you won't behave during this business meeting." And he starts laughing, and so I keep the information. I create the logo, the branding material. So I create the logo, some brochures and letterheads and some stuff. And I contact her, and I'm asking her about. So I said, "What do you do?" And she says, "How'd you hear about me?" And I told her so and so. And she said, "Well, I do this and that." I said, "So like for Imprint or like Vistaprint?" She said, "Sort of, yeah. Same merchandise." I said, "Can I buy this stuff from you, and I would just mark it up when clients need it?" She says, "No." She says, "That wouldn't be." She says, "It wouldn't be advantageous for you." She says, "You would price yourself out. Like it wouldn't be at a marketable or competitive pricing because you marking it up. It's already at a competitive price, and then you marking it up. Nobody would ever get anything from you. It'd be pointless." And I was like, "Oh." She goes into her spiel, and I was like, hey, sounds like you're trying to give me another job. Like, I already got one job, I don't need another job. And then but she's so
enthusiastic.
She's persuasive. Her manner and her demeanor is enticing.
Yeah.
And I said, "So what's the investment in this? And like, what do I have to do?" She says, "Well, you can sign up and you can get your kit. It costs you $100, and you have 30 to 60 days." She says, if you make X amount of sales, the company will reimburse you for what you paid for the kit. So you'll get your $100 investment back. I was like, "Well, I can sell that? Like, she's like, yeah, you can probably sell some pens, and then like you're like 2-3 orders of pens, and then you've compensated yourself. You've gotten back to ground zero. I'd be like, well, that's not bad. And I was like, maybe. And so I sign up. And for years, the first 2-3 years, I did 90% graphic design, 10% that. And then I did 80% graphic design and 20% that. And when I would get these headaches from when I was doing a logo, like I would do a logo for somebody in Alaska, and we'd be going back and forth for weeks. Like, man, for the price I quoted them, man, it took me 5 weeks to complete this with all these inputs and stuff. Like, I've just washed out like all my profits because it's 5 weeks, and you've done 10 logo comps and then 3 different revisions, and like the profit margin on this. Now you've virtually worked $3 an hour for this logo that you just delivered. That's gorgeous. And so I was asking her something, and she said, would you rather work 30 minutes and get $900 sale, or would you like to continue working 3 months or 2 months and get a $900 transaction? And I was like, well, I mean, simple math. I said, but she said you just gotta want it. She said, what do you want to do? She said, you should just stop doing graphic design and you should just get on with this. And I finally took her for her advice in 2018. So 3.5 years into doing it my way. And then I just it went 60-40, and then it went 70-20, and I just minimized all the graphic design stuff. And then on the plus side, I even started billing all of my graphic design stuff through the company.
Very cool.
So I didn't have to do any invoice collections or chasing anybody for overdue bills. And so it worked out on my behalf. And so 2018, I learned from my mistakes, and 2018 to 2019, 100% growth. 2019 to 20, I got another 100%, and then COVID became everybody's friend, and I plateaued. And I plateaued for.
Oh, I would have thought that you would have actually.
I beat my. Well, a lot of people went the opposite direction. I shifted and pivoted during COVID, and so I did a lot of PPE.
What's that?
So that's personal protective equipment. So your face mask, nitro gloves, hospital gowns. And the funny thing is that locally, so networking was here, but everybody's trying to do Zooms and stuff. So 85% of my business came nationally, and only 15% of my business was local. All my local business had evaporated. Like, had I not went on to Pinterest and started posting on Pinterest, the month prior to COVID, I wouldn't have had the fuel to make it through that pivot, because people were stuck at home. But I had made a New Year's resolution in January that I didn't live up to until February. So from February to March, like, I was like, dude, you've been a whole month and you were supposed to put one pin on Pinterest every day on social media, and you're not doing it. And I finally started doing it in February, and then everything shuts down. But that is what sustained me, what built my business. So I only had 28% growth in 2020. Still cool, but when you had 2 years of 100%, it's like, oh man, like I was killing. Just like the realtors, it's the exact same thing that the real estate market felt. They had all that growth, and now they had to figure out how to redo it in the midst of all this turmoil. But unfortunately, that's been the epitome of my life. I'm the comeback kid. Right? Because I've been in trouble, and then after I've got out of my situation,
we are gonna have to have another coffee, because you need to actually share that story on how that pivot happened and how you got out of it. So let's mention your book. The two that you've published.
The first one was a fictional book called Time and Pressure. It jaded me. I didn't like any of the results from that, so I didn't write for another 11 years. And then the most recent book that was released last year in 2023 in September, I self-published, so I did all the publishing process, all the way from copywriting to even the barcodes. Like, they're all registered to me. Like, I own the rights 100%. And that is Beware of Dream Killers, A Believer's Guide to Living a Fuller Life. And the second part to that is coming, and I think that I could if I focus, I could have that out in January, February, and that's Into the Wilderness, and that's more about the solitude I think I've been experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've become a self I don't know, I inflicted on myself recluse.
Yeah.
I'm the extrovert who's pulled himself away for 6 months from everybody.
Yeah. But your story is so incredible, and we really need to actually let people know about that. So
just cool, man. You got to bounce back. Bounce.
Yeah.
Like a basketball.
And you have, and that's what's incredible. But how do you stay so positive?
Because life is rough. Truthfully, if you're being honest, life's not easy. Everybody wants life to be easy, and people think that money's going to make your life easier. I have friends that are extremely poor, and I have friends that are vastly wealthy. And the beauty of it is that I like to sponge a lot, right? Because I do talk a lot, but there are moments that I'll sometimes, people think and it's weird when I get quiet, people think something's wrong. Like, what's wrong? Are you having a bad day? No, I'm trying to soak in some information right now, right? Because I may not be around this guy over here in a minute.
Yeah.
And like, I have really good hearing, so I can hear stuff over there, the side conversations, like, okay. Yeah. So I've always been a information geek. Like, I'm a self-learner. I read a lot. Audible, paperback books, YouTube. It told me the genres and stuff, and it always comes down to marriage stuff, spiritual stuff, or religion, and then self-help. Them are the only 3 categories. Like, there's no fictional books. I don't read any fictional books. It's
you don't really
300 plus hours of just self-help stuff.
Wow.
And that's annually. Like, in some of the books I'll just reread. So I like information. I like knowledge, because without knowing something, like, you don't know. Like, I don't know what somebody else's experience is, but I realize that a lot of successful people, man, have gone through hardships. Because people think that they have this success, and they see the end result. They see the car or the house and the family or the vacations. But, like, this guy's giving up a lot of his time, or he's came from being dirt poor or an abusive family. Like, there's a lot of trauma out there. And that's what I like, is that, because I see a lot of people when they get on the pity party. And it's easy to feel sorry for yourself when you're going through something. But I see a lot of people who've lifted themselves up, and that's what invigorates me. That's what drives me.
Yeah, well, and that's really why I started the Coffee with Sandy. It was because I was told I needed to get back on social media in order for people to know who I am for lending, but also too, I wanted to change the negative to the positive, to be able to show people that, we all have our stuff. And when I started doing the video podcasts, that's what I wanted to share, is we all have our pivotal moments that change who we are, or try to change who we are. And yet, it's a matter of how we can get past that and
progress.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want to say evolve, because then you get all the science people, right, and they're saying, like, no, like, humans don't evolve. Yes, we evolve. We don't evolve, like, turning from a tadpole to a human, and I don't grow fingers and toes. I said, but people evolve, right? Because I know people who are addicts evolve. I'm familiar with a lot. Never had an addiction like that, and thank you, God, for not getting for
Amen. Me too.
Getting me through not having to deal with that. But people do, and I've seen people they've been addicts and they die in their addiction. But I've seen people who have been addicts and they live very productive lives now.
Yes.
And so until you've done that or experienced that kind of like challenge or adversity, like, you don't know, like, that's good. And some of those people, they don't want to become a millionaire. They're completely happy with sobriety.
Yes.
Like, man, like, you have no idea how much of a blessing just to be walking around and not be drunk and to make it to work on time.
Yeah.
And then you have other people who take all those things for granted.
Yeah.
And so, adversity, I love to see people move through adversity.
So, did you have any role models growing up? Or even now? Biggest influence?
They're really my role model. Bill. Okay, before he was this nasty guy that we all know now and remember, I thought Bill Cosby was the coolest dude next to white bread.
Wow.
And I was like, because that was not the typical black household. Yeah. And then they had the show in a different world and stuff, and then but as far as like them, none of my role models have been like any sports figures or any no. And there's always little pieces of people that I've always admired and loved.
Yeah.
Like, like Abraham Lincoln. It's really cool to go against the grain like that. I don't want to die for it, But like, it takes a lot to stand for something and to stick by it, even when it's unpopular. And then to do that and be that on a national level is even more.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure that he knew that because he was getting death threats and stuff like that. So like Martin Luther King, I said everybody I like, Jesus, everybody who was role model, they're probably martyred.
Yeah.
JFK, martyr.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln, martyr. Martin Luther King, martyr. Jesus, martyr. Joan of Arc, only one probably not a martyr. Probably you got Mother Teresa or Gandhi then. Nelson Mandela, martyr. Got to go to prison for 30 years.
So last question before we have to wrap up. Do you have a bucket list then? Because it sounds as though you hit goals. You have your goals
bucket list.
But do you have a bucket list of?
I got a do me list.
A do me.
Because I mean, I'm gonna hit the bucket, and I'm not gonna retire. I'm not gonna do the traditional retirement that most people are familiar with. My wife may do something of the sort. I'm doing the laser stuff now so that I can have something to do when I get older and I don't want to go do all other crap. So I'm learning that. So I have 20 years of laser craftsmanship by the time I'm ready to retire. But I've traveled a lot of countries. Me and my wife went to Italy in 2022. And this year, so in January of 2025, so in 4 months, we're going to Dominican Republic for a week. I'm going to use the downtime, the slow time of the season to go on vacation. I wanted to go to not Fiji. It's an island. Phuket. So is that Philippines, Malaysia, Pacific Island. They're Pacific Island countries and stuff like that. But bucket list wise, probably most unusual thing is I want to. I promised my daughter when she graduated from college. She's an adult now, so I'm probably about 10, 12 years late on that. But that we would skydive.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Yep. But she's got to meet a weight goal because you have to be a certain parameter, like to do it. But skydiving, my wife won't do it. I'll do it once. I'm pretty convinced that that's not how I'm gonna transition out of here. I've seen and experienced and done some other things that are far more complicated and weirder than that.
So thank you all very much for joining us today. I'm Sandy Shook. I am your mortgage advisor. I am here to help you get into a plan so that you can buy the house that you've been wanting to buy, or even refinancing to get you out of the debt that you may have accumulated in the last few years or whatever. Just if it makes sense for you. And then also too, if you want to get into investment properties. And Art, if you can let everybody know how to reach you.
Okay, I am locally here in Colorado Springs, but I serve nationally and internationally. You can find us at Pierson Promotional. That is what you would Google. And that's also www.piersonpromo.com. It's PiersonPromo.com.
Awesome. And I want to also thank Craig Tomanini for allowing us to be the
guinea pigs.
Yeah, thank you. The guinea pigs of using the bus. It was something that I approached to him and asked him if he'd be willing to let me do the podcast out of the bus. And it's brand new to just like within the last year, he actually created the technology bus. And does a lot of classes out of it. So I just want to thank him for giving us the opportunity to do that. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next time.